Hi guys, it's Allie with Chaos Monkey, and I am here just to do a finish for Mary Maxim October kit for the knitting kit. And it's just to kind of give you my impressions and how the pattern worked out and what I actually finished or not. And I tend to pretty much follow the patterns unless I completely do something else with the yarn. And, I don't know, this is an acrylic yarn, and I didn't enjoy it because I don't like doing color work with acrylic, even if it's a soft acrylic, which this is. And as you can see, I have a couple of balls left. This one I did have to use a little bit of, to finish what I did do. But it is 100%, well, I should say 70% acrylic, 30% nylon, but there's no wool, so there's no stretch. I mean, it's a little stretchy, but not really. So that kind of makes color work a little more difficult. And I didn't finish all the projects. I just did 3. And let me see, was there any problems with the pattern? This one is a paid-for pattern through Mary Maxim, so I don't want to show too much, but I did have to do a lot of adjustments. And as you guys know, if you've watched my one on the hat before, the first time I made the hat, it came out super big, like super duper big, and that was my fault because I'd used the wrong needle size. I went down to the correct needle size this time, and this hat still turned out super big. And because it's an acrylic nylon yarn, there really is no stretch, so that stretch works 2 ways. It'll, you stretch out and you stretch back in. So when you do something too big in acrylic, it stays way too big. Sometimes when you do stuff in a wool that comes out a little big, once the yarn relaxes, it'll kind of shrink down a little bit, and you'll be, oh, that's not so bad, that'll work. You can't do that with acrylic. So this hat is big. Big, big, big. If I can get my mannequin over here. It's almost the same size as when I accidentally used a needle 2 sizes bigger. It's big. You guys want to see on him. This is the adult-sized head. So it's cool if you want a slouchy, because you can get like a cool slouchy out of it. But it's not going to stay on the head very well. Because, as you can see, and I think I did go down on a needle size for this, or maybe I followed the pattern and didn't go down a needle size. Which I should have gone down probably 2 needle sizes in the acrylic. I don't remember. But what I was thinking was, even if you want to slouch, it's not going to stay on. So what I was thinking is I was going to rip back, and this has already been washed and blocked. All my ends are woven in if you want to see the inside of my color work. Where was I? Oh, I was thinking of, even though I've woven on all the ends, I can still come back in here and rip it back and then do a mirror of the bottom ribbing up on top and just kind of turn it into a cowl, because it's big enough to be a cowl around your neck. You could only put it on once around. You can't do 2 loops or anything, but it would definitely be a comfortable cowl to wear. So I was thinking of changing this hat into a cowl. And then if I wanted to try another hat, to definitely go down a couple of needle sizes on the ribbing and take out one of these whole repeats. Because I used, the second time I used a 6. And I hit gauge. But what I was thinking you should do is, like, if you hit gauge like I did on a 6, to go down to a 5 or a 4 for the ribbing, and to take out a full repeat of the pattern, because they want you to do 9 repeats of this color pattern. I would do 8, and that would take the hat down to maybe a more manageable size, and actually be a hat that's fitting like a normal hat. But I didn't want to rip all this out for the second time, so I might just convert it into the cowl. Because you know how there's this color work cowl here? I might just kind of convert this and just forego this, because I was really kind of burnt out on the color work, to be honest, from using this acrylic nylon blend. So, but I did do the hat again, And yes, it turned out super big, and in theory it could be a slouch, but it would just fall off somebody's head because there's no grip here. Because the pattern doesn't tell you to go down. My kitten is attacking the back of my paper. Because I have a piece of white board here so that you guys can see better. Hey! Hey! Baby! Baby, stop it! Anyways, where was I going? Oh, go down a couple needle sizes at least to get any grip with this. Since there's no wool in it, you're going to need to really go down. Baby! Oh my goodness, I'm going to have to grab him, but... So I think I'm going to turn this into a cowl, bottom line. And then I did do the stripey cowl, which was this one right here. But I didn't like the pattern because it wasn't symmetrical. Because the way they had to do the striping, when you end on the other side, if you see this, they had you end on the light green, and here the dark green, and then you kind of get it symmetrical, but not really where the striping is. But I didn't want to break into my other ball of light. I'm going to have to grab him. Hold on. Hold on. You are... Come here. You want to show everybody? This boy, Squeeze. You're going outside, baby. Come on. You're not helping. Okay. Anyway, so I didn't want to cut into my other full ball just to put the ribbing on, so I just kind of adapted it to be a little thinner to use up all of my scraps. So the scraps that I had left over for my green and my dark green, I used in the cowl, and I only had to use a tiny bit of this ball to finish this up. I think I had to do like 6 rounds with that dark green. I was trying to conserve the yarn in case I wanted to use it for something else. So here's how the cowl came out. Per gauge, it's just a little bit shorter than what they had pictured. And I haven't woven in the ends or anything because I'm like, do I want to keep it? Do I want to... And they have you just strand up. I don't know. I kind of had fun with the pattern. I kind of didn't. And then I did do the gloves, which are here, and I did do the way the pattern did, and I didn't like quite how the bottom of the fingers turned out because of the pattern, but they look good when they're on. See, I'll put them on here. Keep in mind I have very long hands and long fingers, very narrow, but so this piece, when you hit gauge, is really long, because you can see I kind of put in an extra row here by accident, so I kind of had to mimic it on both gloves. But even without that, this piece is pretty long, so you really want to watch that for yourself. You want to finish the repeats so that it looks good. So you finish the pattern, but you might want to watch how long that's going to be on your hand, because it is a little on the long side. And I do have longer than average, so it works on me for the most part. And the fingers, of course, you can make as long as you want. You can do whatever you want for the fingers. I made some of them a little too wide, I think. But overall, I'm pretty happy. I did ladder on the fingers because I did use double points. I realized later the double points that they had given me in the kit were size 2s, and you need size 3s. So I couldn't use the needles they gave me. I think other people actually got size 3s, but maybe they ran out, or they just didn't have enough of the size, or whatever. But, you know, hey, free double points. And I had plenty of double points, so I just pulled out some of my 3s that I already had. So I didn't get to test the needles that they sent, which I was kind of curious to test because I liked. Remember, I was like, they're metal, but they have the coating. And I was kind of curious how they'd work, but I didn't get to test them because I don't have anything to use 2 on. So as you can see, my color work wasn't the greatest in the acrylic on the gloves. I got some little tiny bit too tight around the thumb, but I made it work. So, I mean, they're okay. They're okay. I don't know. I got too tight in some parts in here. I did magic loop it until the fingers, and then I used the double pointed needles. And I think when I was magic looping, that here was the edge and here was the edge, and so the edges kind of turned out a little wonky because of the way I had to pull the yarn when I changed colors. But again, you can't tell when you have them on, and they were washed and blocked to kind of relax the color work. So, I mean, it's okay. They're not my best gloves, but just to wear around. And I know they won't last very long because soft acrylics pill like crazy. So you could probably wear these for a couple seasons and they're going to pill up. What else? I think that's it. I did the fingers differently. I did the fingertips differently just so they'd fit me. I think I did a decrease round, did a straight round, did another decrease round just to have them point better. But if you do the fingers, you can adjust it however you want. It's no big on how you do your decreases. So overall, I'm pretty happy, and again, plenty of yarn. Remember, I was worried you couldn't do all the cowls. I bet you could probably. Actually, I'm not sure. If the hat turned out smaller the way it was supposed to, like I said, which is impossible hitting gauge with the number of repeats, but if you do your hat minus one of the full repeats when you hit gauge, you would have even more yarn left over. And you could probably do this cowl and this cowl, because this cowl looks pretty small. They have the same amount in diameter. It is 126 in diameter. This turned out a little longer because of all the garter. It stretched out longer when I did it. But this color one has the same amount of stitches, the 126. So I don't know, I think you might be pushing it to try to get both cowls out of the yarn. But I did have this much left over. So if you can pull it off, then I'd use it all. But for me, I was also just burnt on the color work, so yeah. So, I mean, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this hat. I don't want to rip it back completely, so I probably will turn it into a cowl. Just not anytime soon, because I'm kind of burnt out on this month's kit. Losing my words, so but yeah. I just wanted to show you what I got finished, and I am working on November's now. November's will go a lot quicker because it's a bulky. I think I'm already halfway through on that one, and oh, excuse me. And I already had issues with the pattern, which I did a short video on. I didn't mean to rant in that one. I was trying to be fairly neutral, but the pattern was pretty frustrating. So, anyway, before I sneeze again, I'm going to go ahead and go. Bye. Okay, I just wanted to go over the modifications I made for the gloves because when I finished filming, I realized I did a lot of mods that you guys might want to be aware of because the hat turned out huge when I hit gauge and used the needle size I wanted. The gloves were going to turn out huge too, so I didn't want to repeat the same mistake. And so let me grab a glove here that looks okay. So here's the glove. When you first cast on, you cast on at the bottom. And of course, being acrylic, there's no stretch, right? So I had to go down a couple of needles. Ooh, what's that? Oh, look at me. Did I drop a stitch, yo? Ooh, I did something weird in there. But anyway, I digress. I didn't catch that. So for the gloves, they wanted you to cast on 52 stitches on the smaller size DPNs, which according to the pattern was size 3. So I think I have a note somewhere. I went down to a size 2 and cast on 42 stitches. So I think I had 21 per side because when I did the 52, it was really, really big around. So as you can see, I have thin arms, but you can see that it fits going down to a size 2. So you might want to go down to the size 2 just to get some stretch, but you might want to adjust the 52 depending on how much room you need. So I would definitely custom it and watch it as you go, and then make sure you write everything down so you can do it on both gloves, because there's no way 52 around in a size 3. It was like this wide. Like, it was ridiculous. So I already knew once I got an inch in and ripped it back. So I went to 42 on a size 2. Then I went up to a size 3 when I went into the color work. And size 3, and then I went up, let's see, 52 stitches, which was way too many for me. And I think what was really weird is they wanted you to do all those stitches on the cuff, and then they wanted you to do 3 decreases to get down to 49 stitches. Well, I wanted the 49 because I knew it was what we needed for the colorwork pattern. So I did 42, and then here I increased to the 49 before the colorwork chart started. So if you do have to start smaller, just remember when you hit these, I think that's why I had an extra green row, is because I had started and switched to my 3s and forgotten to do my increases. So I think I just threw in an extra increase and I wasn't going to rip back. And so I had a couple, I think I had an extra green, plain green row before the colorwork started, because I was not ripping back for that. And so, oh, I think I have an end popping out. So you guys, I'm not perfect at all. I'm finding all kinds of mistakes on here. And my ends are popping out on me. There's a lot of color, there's a lot of ends to weave in on these for the color work, by the way. So, yeah, that's what I did. And I just wanted to tell you guys what I did, because if we had followed it the way they had it written, it would have ended up huge, like the hat ended up huge, based on what they had said in hitting gauge. Remember, everybody's gauge is different, so it'll be different for everybody, but if you hit gauge, they're going to come out big. At least they did for me, using, like for the hat, I used the size 6 needle, and it still ended up super big when I hit gauge, which is why I said you should probably just remove one of the full repeats, do 8 repeats instead of 9 to actually get it head sized. They kind of really overshot for the cuff too. So yeah, then I went up to the 49, increased to the 49 before the color work. And then after the color work, I just did the color work like normal. Because this did fit the hand on a size 3 with hitting gauge with the normal color work with 49 stitches. But you can see this is thin, this is narrow for my skinny hands. So if your hands are bigger, keep in mind you might need to go up a needle size, because you want to keep your 49 stitches so you don't mess up your color work chart. But if you can get away with it, maybe go up a needle size if it's not going to be too loosey-goosey, to get it a little wider for your hand. What else can I tell you? I think that's it. And sometimes it's good to go up a needle size for color work if you're a tight knitter too, because it will loosen up the color work. But I knew these patterns were going to kind of turn out big, and I know I have skinny hands, so I went down to the 2 here, dropped the stitch count to 42, increased here to the 49 on a size 3, did the color work on the size 3, then dropped down to the double points in size 3 for the fingers. And like I said, the fingers, when you pick up the stitches for the fingers, you can determine if you need to add some stitches at the base for your fingers, if you have wider fingers. And then you can also stop and do your decreases sooner if you have shorter fingers, or keep going and do them later if you have longer fingers. Those are, fingers are really adjustable. If you haven't made gloves before, don't worry so much about this part. This is the most important part, is being able to get them on, having the cuff fit, and having them fit your hand. Then you can adjust. The fingers are really adjustable. So that was it. I just wanted to let you guys know my mods, in case it helps you. There was no modifications on the cowl other than just making it more narrow this way, because it's a little longer on their version, and changing the colors just to kind of have it work out with the yarn I had left over. So that one is easy peasy, no mods on that. And then again for the hat, I would go down 2 needle sizes from a 6 to a 4 for the cuff of the hat, the rim of the hat, and then take out a whole repeat if you hit gauge on a 6, because I hit gauge on a 6 and it was way big. If you still want the slouch, then don't take out the repeat, but you still do go down 2 needle sizes for this. If you hit gauge at 6, go down 2 needle sizes to a 4. That way, if you can wear it slouch and have it at least grip your head a little bit. And that's normal for hats and gloves and everything. Anything with ribbing, you usually go down a couple of needle sizes for this part versus the body. They didn't do that in the pattern. Probably because they didn't want you to have to dig up more needles, I guess. You know what I mean? Because they did give you the size 3 double points, and they're like, you only need 6 and 3s, and they didn't want to go into, now you need a 4. Who knows? But just for future reference, if you haven't made any hats or gloves, you always want to go down a needle size or 2 for the ribbing to really make sure it grabs. So, alright, bye.